Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. It's your girl Lori, and we are wrapping up the 5-journal series with the 5th journal in that, and that is your mood journal. And I'll tell you why this is important, and this becomes one of your best friends to take to your doctors, and we're going to talk about it. So now that we're at the 5th video, if you're starting here, go back to, there's 5 of them. Monday through Friday, but if you're watching them in succession, you can go back. It's going to take about 50 minutes or so of your time, and you'll be able to understand why the 5 journals I recommend. Don't say you only want to do 1 or 2 because it's going to be easier and it's just so much. Nah, if you're ready to do this, you're going to jump in feet first with all 5. All 5. Okay, some are going to be like more consecutive, like your gratitude, your positive, your negative journal is going to be super positive, like all the time. Your positive journal might be short, might be 1 or 2 sentences a day, but it has to be specific, right? So much like that, that's where the mood journal comes in. And this is where people think, oh, I feel sad, I feel angry, I feel, that's not what the mood journal's for. And I'm going to break that down for you. So what the mood journal does for you, again, describer words aren't effective. So if you say to somebody, I am angry, anger is not a true emotion. Anger comes from fear, frustration, and hurt. Anything and everything that you are angry about rolls into 1 or all 3 of those things. Fear, frustration, or hurt. Period. Okay? So, happy. What's that mean? I feel happy. Well, what makes me happy might not make you happy and vice versa. These are describer words. I feel sad. I feel depressed. I feel anxious. Describer words. Don't just write, I feel anxious in here. Today is Tuesday. I feel stressed. No. That's not the mood journal. So I'm going to break this down for you because this is why taking this to your doctor at doctor's appointments can also become your best friend, and it becomes a great tool for you to start being aware of what your patterns are. Okay? Your patterns are very important to you. So let's say you wake up and you are feeling anxious. Okay, so you don't, now this one is the one that I would say if you want to, the other ones do not date. Don't even think about dating them. It is unimportant to date them. This one may be beneficial if you date it, though you do not have to, but I'll tell you why. So let's say you date this today is like, let's say it's December 1st, whatever, right? So you're going to date it December 1st. And now if you feel fine, you don't necessarily have to go into it, but it's good to start seeing patterns. So I do like to write into this daily because, and sometimes I will write in it a couple times daily because sometimes my mood at 10 o'clock might be totally different at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But you want it, this is how you start feeling your feelings. This is your feelings mood journal, right? So if you're anxious, that doesn't mean anything to anyone. So you have to say, what does anxious feel like to you? So I can explain mine, so I'll tell you. Okay, so let's go back. I'll give you a real life one. I'll write in pink because I like to write in different colors for different journals because that's how I roll, right? So in here, so when you're sitting with the mood space, so let's go, this is like an older one because I do like to keep the mood journals. So if I've tried new medicine or if my hormones, I'm postmenopausal, so my hormones might kick in at different times of the month. So here I felt a little anxious. So when was this? This was last year. Okay. So I just pulled one from last year. It was like in November. Okay. So I woke up anxious. Now I put a line like equals because saying I'm anxious means nothing. My shoulders were raised up like shoulder earrings. So obviously I'm exaggerating it. It wasn't like I was sitting like this, but you know how you're sitting there and you just kind of feel like those tights. So I have, my shoulders were earrings because I feel like my shoulders were up in there, having a hard time swallowing, heart's racing, feel sweaty, feel a little lightheaded, might pass out, but that's fine. I always tell myself it's fine regardless of how I feel. Obviously, I was feeling anxious. What am I doing here? Oh, it says grab negative journal, write this down. Oh, because I was writing that down because I knew where this was coming from. It had to do with a deadline of something that needed to be met, and I was definitely falling behind, and I had to figure out what I was procrastinating to fall behind it. And like why? Because typically if it looks overwhelming, and I remembered at that point that negative journal's been long burned, but I do think I remember writing something about how it felt overwhelming and I was resisting doing it because I was afraid I was going to miss my deadline. So I'd rather not do it completely or keep pushing it off. So I had to process all that. So anyway, I'm writing down this mood journal thing. Tingly fingers. Oh, tingly fingers. I had tingly fingers, was getting a pain in my right boob. Oh, okay. Yeah. What's that? Question mark. Feel out of control, breathing fast. So by writing all that down, that's my mood. Okay, so it lets me know what is going on. I do take my Zoloft. I'm also a holistic prescriber. I have formal education in holistic meds, like medicine, meaning supplements, herbs, oils, things like that. And holistic isn't always healthy, nor good, nor effective. So just because you hear holistic doesn't mean that that's going to be more effective or even safer for you than even pharmaceuticals, because they can be and they can also not be. I gotcha. Okay. So this is important because I realized too, by writing it out and actually defining what I was feeling, it started to dissipate for me because I literally put, that was worth good 10 minutes of mine. So I guess I gave myself credit. I guess I could have put that in the positive journal, but I wanted to do that so I could see what my mood was. So if in fact I needed to talk to my doctor about something or whatever, I could go back and be like, well, listen, on November 9th, I had a little bit of an anxiety attack. And this is why I had a little bit of this anxiety attack. And this is what I was feeling. And then I know my why, but I don't need to worry about that because I've already processed it. So when you're writing in your mood journal, right? Okay, so let's go to a positive one, right? It's not that that's negative. You're just, feelings aren't negative. Your anxiety isn't negative. It just is what it is. You got to adopt that it is what it is attitude. So let's go over here with all of my positive-y stuff. So, okay, so this was later that same day. Okay. Oh, I even put the time. This was 6:43. Very specific. Because again, you're staying in the present space. You're not doing this with any other motivation or anticipation or expectation other than just doing it. So I put much calmer. Oh, I guess I put I like to put the feeling, I title it much calmer. So I guess I could just put calm, but much calmer. Can swallow fine, no longer tingly. I was like tickly. No longer tingly. Breathing regular, shoulders have dropped. Stomach's not tight. I read that and then I did it. Can take deep breaths now. Oh, because when I get anxiety, I feel like I can't catch a breath. So it's whatever. And this is important to know because you're not going to die from an anxiety attack. You'll just feel like you're going to. So, so it was good. Oh, okay. So I see how I did that. Okay, so then that was good. So I could also, and now I know I put the time. I was like, why did I put the time there? Because on this other one, that one started at like 10, but it also, I must have come back and put a check mark because I still felt the same around 11:30. And then later on that day, I felt better. And I do remember in one of my positive journals, not that one because that one's a newer one, that I did write, by feeling my feelings, I feel so much better. So see, you try to run from your feelings. That's not ever going to serve. You don't run from a panic attack. You don't run from the things that you got to face. I do exposure with all my clients, right? So what you fear we're going to face, what you keep avoiding, we're not going to do. We're going to approach that head on and we're going to face it, right? And that's what I was saying in here is that by really sitting with it, this is what sitting with your feeling means. Like you don't just sit with your happy. You have to sit with your negative thoughts. You have to sit with these moods, sit with your irritability, sit with your anxiety, sit with your stress. So by writing this in your journal, well, it is a journal, but in your mood journal, you're not processing it. You're just identifying it. I processed it somewhere else. That's why I came back and I was like, wait, what? And that's okay because I like to keep this. But let's say you were going to your psychiatrist. Your psychiatrist. Yes. That's the one who gives you medicine. Oh my God. I was like, I had a brain fart there for a minute. So you're a psychiatrist and they just started you on Wellbutrin. Well, now over every week, you have a way of describing it because you don't get to say things like, I'm angry. So what? I'm sad. So I'm anxious. So what? What does that mean to me? Nothing. So your doctor, when the doctor asks you to describe your feelings, you're able to articulate it. Now, when you say anxious today, it might be different than anxious tomorrow or whatever. But by identifying it, it also helps your doctor understand where you are in your moods, how you function throughout the month. That's why I said it's kind of okay to write. I do notice that I do date this. Do not date any of the other ones. Because for one thing, the negative and adaptive journal, that thing's going to get burned. It doesn't matter. And with your gratitude and your positivity journal, it doesn't matter when you're grateful or what you've done. It's going to be effective. It carries that same energy. This one, however, becomes one of your best friends when it comes for your doctors and just for you to see that because then you'll start realizing triggers that you didn't know that you had Because when you're feeling anxious, you're going to want to immediately, or sad or angry or whatever, you're going to sit there and break it down. You're going to grab that negative journal. You're going to tell you, sometimes I've journaled in this thing like I'm writing 16 novels on negativity, right? I am writing a book, but it's not just on negativity. So in that space, it gives you start to correlate what triggers you. Now you can stay away from these triggers, or you can face these triggers head on. And that is the beautiful thing about your mood journal. So when you think mood journal, you don't just identify it with all of these journals. So as I'm wrapping up with this, and this was the last bit of that, now you see why I recommend the 5 journals and why it's mandatory to your practice. Mandatory to your practice. Yeah, I write in them all every single day, and sometimes multiple times. Sometimes I'll gratitude just if I'm feeling a little blah, nothing crazy. I'm like, you know what, I should probably, I don't time it that second time of the day. I'll be like, you know what, if I'm feeling blah, it's probably time for me to do some gratituding, right? When you feel negative, you don't feed the negative with negative. You process it, you feel it, and then you give it something positive. This is how we recalibrate your thinking process. So I hope that you've liked this series. Every now and then, you know, I do my YouTube Monday through Friday, and I try to do them in series, but sometimes they're just like spotty, and it'll be individual standalone for that day. But that is the 5 journal series. If you want, I always recommend go back, and now that you've watched them day by day, go back and watch it consecutively. And it's kind of like if you're binging something, it becomes easier. And the more you watch it, the more you understand it and the more you get from it. So I love you guys. Have an amazing week.